Marc Maron has been on a tear lately. If you're not familiar with Marc Maron, he is a comedian. He's also a podcaster. He does the What the Fuck podcast or the WTF podcast. He's been around for a minute. He's an old school comedian. You know, he came up back in the day of, you know, the Joe Rogan Sphere, you know, back, I believe it was called the Comedy Store in LA. And it was Pauly Shore's mom that owned that place, by the way. And Pauly Shore used to be on there, too. I wonder whatever happened to Pauly Shore. Anyway, sorry, I digress. But Marc Maron, he has been having a little bit of a renaissance lately because with the Joe Rogan bro comedy sphere having blown up so big in 2024 helped to get Donald Trump elected. You know, a lot of young men went out and voted for Donald Trump because they saw him on Joe Rogan. You know, they saw him on the Andrew Schultz show or, you know, any number of the other bro podcasters out there who don't know jack or shit about politics, but brought them on to help sell the propaganda. You know, having on JD Vance and Donald Trump, giving them a fucking shiatsu and a grease down and placating their ego while they're jerking them off underneath the table. And Marc Maron was always calling them out about it, but now that Donald Trump has been president for like the last 6 months or so, a lot of these podcasters are going, Jesus Christ, man, I didn't know it was going to be this bad. I didn't know they were going to be building concentration camps. I didn't know they were going to be bombing countries willy-nilly. I didn't know that they were going to be doing a universal tariff on every country on the planet, including our own allies, thereby raising the prices of all goods for all Americans. God damn, man, we fucking sold this propaganda for Donald Trump, and you know, it's starting to make us look kind of bad. So, you know, not all of them are, you know, contrite about it. Andrew Schultz was kind of contrite about it, but he's like, I don't feel bad about voting for him, but I kind of feel a little bit bad about bringing him on my show and not knowing anything, not really asking any questions. And that's the whole point. You know, we just had the Nelk brothers interviewing, you know, the world's new Adolf Hitler in Bibi Netanyahu. These boys don't know anything. They're prank guys, and they brought on, you know, a guy performing an actual genocide right in front of our faces, and they were asking him questions like, what's your favorite burger, McDonald's or Burger King? So Marc Maron, who is much more plugged in and knows a little bit more about politics than these guys, you know, he was saying, hey, this is not a good thing that we're doing, and, you know, Joe Rogan is a dumbass. And Andrew Schultz is a dumbass. What the fuck are you guys doing? Anyway, he goes on this Bad Friends podcast where he's talking to a couple of comedians, and he's chatting it up with them. Let's have a look-see. Oh, that's the wrong one. Keeps doing that. Anyway, here's Marc Maron. He's on the podcast. Let's see what he got to say.
The thing with Joe,
is
I don't know that we have a lot to talk about because of my idea of what he's done to comedy.
Sure.
And I don't think it's great. I think that it's tribalized, and I think that, you know, he's created a sort of army of people that think they know comedy, but they only know a specific thing, and what they think is good is not necessarily good. It may be what they're like.
So it seems that Marc Maron has reignited his decades-long beef with Joe Rogan and his group of comedic assassins, as he just called them out on 2 separate podcasts in the span of a week. And Marc Maron's not just going after these guys because he doesn't like them. As he puts it, he has reasonable criticism for them.
It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah.
Like in his most recent special, Panicked, Marc actually spends a good portion of time calling out the anti-woke comedy scene that Rogan's forged.
By the way, this is American Redact, and you know, they put this thing together. It's actually very good. You should probably watch the whole thing. But this HBO special, this is the only little segment that I've ever seen of it, and that's what, you know, instigated me to talk about this. And I was looking for this little clip, and I couldn't find it because it's on HBO Max, and I couldn't find a clip. So this is the only place I could find it, was on this particular video. But it's very funny, just this little bit that he says.
Criticizing them for normalizing slurs, punching down at marginalized groups, and overall platforming dangerous ideas.
Pterodactyl arms? You supposed to put that nigga on the grill. He ain't even supposed to live.
You know, that's the thing about the bro sphere, comedy sphere. It's that all they do is punch down. You know? And, you know, I know this is a tired old trope, but conservative comedians aren't looking for laughs. They're looking for applause. they are willing to say the unspeakable thing, but they're not looking to get a laugh. It's a cheap laugh. They want to have a pliable audience that is on their side politically. So instead of laughing about it, they just applaud away. It's like the end of that movie, Cabaret. And, now that the Nazis took over, the show is not as funny anymore and nobody's laughing, but everybody's applauding because it's all Nazi comedy now. Anyway, I mean, this is no George Carlin. George Carlin notoriously punched up. Bill Hicks punched up. They looked at the powers that be and took the piss out of them because they were all stuffed shirts and, bags of hot air. And George Carlin called them out on their bullshit. They punched up. They were pointing at the powerful and making fun of the powerful. These days, we can't make fun of the powerful because the powerful have delicate little egos like Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And as soon as you make fun of Elon Musk on his site, he will ban you. Free speech be damned. You say something bad about Donald Trump, you could get kicked out of this fucking country. So, but this guy right here making fun of a disabled person, saying, making fun of his arms, and that's funny. I'm not laughing, man. It's not funny. You're punching down. It's cringe.
And if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you go watch that entire special. But to give you an idea of what he talks about in that special, here's him poking fun at the idea of Theo Von having Adolf Hitler on his podcast, and what exactly that would sound like.
This is good.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Von's podcast. And Theo would be like, see, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog.
So now he's on a podcast press tour for that new special, and he's sent shots left and right at the entire Rogan Sphere. Like in this recent Bad Friends episode, he goes at Rogan in a pretty hilarious and major way, roasting him for leading an army of enlightened meatheads, and predicting that they'll run out of material pretty quickly, since the majority of...
Yeah, seriously, I mean, how much can you make fun of people who are lower on the economic or the social rung than you are? How much can you punch down before you've just basically punched everybody in your audience verbally? It's not funny. It's just mean and cruel. I mean, how much can you make fun of trans people? Look, you won. Trans people are fearing for their fucking lives right now, man. How much more do you want to go after them? All 5 of them that are competing in women's sports across the nation. A total of 5 to 10 of them. And it's just trans joke after trans joke. Ha ha. So very funny. Wow, I never heard that one before.
That they tell are pretty surface level jabs at marginalized groups that they've completely beaten into the ground. Like if you know anything about this Rogan era of comedy, you'd know that they do this quite frequently. Like to this day, they're probably still making COVID-19 jokes. And Marc Maron considers this shtick to be hack.
But yeah, me and who else?
Rogan.
Okay.
Who's that?
Joe
Rogan.
Joseph
Rogan?
Yeah, he's out of Texas.
Oh, Texas. Got it.
That Joe Rogan.
Got it.
Yeah. You love Austin, don't you?
He's running half the planet out of Texas.
Yeah.
He's got a tight hold on the enlightened meathead.
Yeah, it is. Joe Rogan's mothership is the waiting room for billionaires and politicians to come and spread propaganda on his show, and he is glad to do it. He's got a whole waiting room filled with billionaire types like Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, working his new little bro angle, Mark Andreessen with his fucking egg head, telling you that capitalism good, social welfare and Medicare for all, can't have that. And by the way, we're going to have, I know that y'all are afraid of the deep state, but we're going to do this thing where we have a spy network built into everything, and we're going to be extracting all of everybody's data and putting it into Peter Thiel's new Palantir operation. Isn't that going to be great, Joe? Wow, man. 100%, man. 100%.
Dude, Maron's disdain.
It's not disdain. It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah.
When's the last time you spoke with him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would have been at the store. I never talked to him in
comedy
Austin.
store.
I don't go into the club. I don't really think I'm on his radar. So I
Something
don't.
tells me you are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something.
Yeah,
me
something
too.
tells me
Me
you
too.
are.
I don't. It's weird that you get lumped into a certain thing, and maybe it's my assumption that his army of healthy fellas.
Is that their title? Army of Healthy Fellas is so good.
You just got to
Healthy meatheads.
keep the machine.
The machine's got to be good.
Yeah.
That's a shot at Bert. Go ahead.
What do you think the Austin shelf life is going to be?
No,
Well,
that's
I don't know. I think that it's so effectively tribalized at this point. It really comes down to material. I mean, at what point? It's like whatever they represented in terms of policy.
Sure.
It's not a stretch. It's like they won. Trans people are frightened. They have no ability to get health care anymore, and they're afraid of being alive and have no freedom left. So that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
when do you stop with the joke?
And like immigrants, okay, well they're being ripped away from their homes, and they're all terrified, and okay, so that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to pick on the vulnerable and the marginalized, but I mean, they're down.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're down.
why do you got to keep hitting them unless you're a hack? Now there's a question.
That is a damn good question. And that's kind of the crux of this whole thing. That's what makes a comedian a hack comedian. When you just keep treading over the same comedy over and over and over again, not bringing anything new to the table, not being a creative, funny force out there, not poking fun at the powerful, and taking the air out of their bullshit, taking the piss out of them. You're just punching down at marginalized groups that will never be able to hit you back because you're so far up on the economic or celebrity ladder that they can't touch you. And then you've got a whole crowd full of sycophantic people that come out to see your special. I saw Joe Rogan's last special. I hardly chuckled at all. I watched the guy hump a goddamn bar stool for about 5 minutes, talking about feeding, I think it was cranberries to a cat. I mean, that was the extent of his comedy. It was not very funny at all. Let's just make fun of vegans and trans people and immigrants. It's like, man, how many times can you tell that same fucking joke? Anyway, is there anything else that I wanted to point out here?
Wow. Mark,
He
wow.
comes in swinging.
Yeah.
Another issue that Mark has with Joe Rogan was one that Mark's had a problem with since the early 90s, which is that comedy is supposed to be for the quote-unquote sensitive weirdos, not necessarily for the high school locker room bullies that...
I mean, that is a valid point. I mean, look, when I was in high school, I was a bit of a nerdy, geeky little kid. But at the same time, I knew that playing music would be the thing that got me in. I would be able to do something that nobody else did, and then that would make me a little bit cooler, than somebody else. We find the things that are artistic that not just improve ourselves and improve our lives and improve our psyche, but it also gives us hey, this is something else cool that I do. And, we are populated with a whole bunch of people who are trying to buy popularity. And, look, if you're a macho guy like Joe Rogan and you want to be a boxer and a comedian and all that, whatever, man, it's fine. But it just kind of feels a little weird to be, I'm a jock and I am now telling comedy about skinny people. It's like you've moved on from kicking sand in their face, to making them the butt of your jokes. It's hack, man. It's fucking hack. If you're not telling jokes for the laughter and you're just doing it for the applause, you're missing the point, man. You can't write if you can't relate, as Beck once said, which is very true. And artist types, people that create good art, generally come from a place of pain inside, and and being able to relate and to empathize with other people. That's why, when you write a song that's really good that other people like, it's generally because they can relate to it. They found something beautiful in your music, in your painting, in your sculptures, in your comedy. They found something in it that they could relate to. But if all you're doing is just punching down on people, that have less power than you, how is that coming from, a creative place? That's the whole issue, honestly. I'm gonna finish this up here, but I think that's kind of the whole issue with this, that, the reason why Republicans don't have that many celebrities and artists and interesting people on their side is because they're populated with people who have all of the money and all of the power. And now, since they have all the money and power, now they want to be able to buy popularity. And that's never how it's worked, ever. We've always, as the common man, we've always made fun of the rich and powerful because that's the only power we have over them. They lord over us. They command the amount of hours that we work for them. They command the amount of money we get paid. They deny us health care and social safety net. And meanwhile, they live in opulence, in the lap of luxury. But yet now they want to be popular too. And that has never worked that way. If you are going to be rich and powerful, just accept the fact that people are going to hate you because you have more than they do. You have power over them. And it's going to be a contingent of people that are always going to be, pointing the finger at you and calling you an asshole. You can't be Elon Musk and own the fucking world and then yet be popular and be cool and be funny and people like you. The only reason why somebody's going to like somebody with $200 billion, $400 billion is because they have shitloads of money. Nobody gives a good goddamn about Elon Musk. And personally, I don't know who in the hell likes Joe Rogan. His show has dropped off considerably. His content is not very funny. I rarely have ever seen a clip in the last couple of years that even remotely made me chuckle. But yet he still continues to do it, and he's gone further and further and further down that right-wing rabbit hole. And, and every time he does that, every time he goes a little bit further, somebody says something to him, and instead of going, wait a minute, maybe I should learn because everybody's saying the same shit to me, it's calling me a hack, maybe I should do a little introspection. No, fuck them. They're losers, man. They're liberals, they're libtards, they're losers. I'm going to keep going this way because they're making me. Look what you made me do. I'm a bro, man, and I will fucking take you out. Fuck you, man. I'm fucking funny. No, dude, you're not funny, man. You're just angry. You're angry little short king with big muscles and, probably an addiction to, injecting yourself with steroids and tea. That's your issue, man. I think the tea has fucked up your capacity for your brain to work. I wouldn't blame it on the weed. I smoke weed every fucking day, man. It hasn't turned me into a fucking Nazi. Hasn't turned me into a propagandist. I'm not here to suck off Donald Trump and all of the horrible, wretched billionaire types out there. Dude, you fucking gave him the easiest fucking interview. He lied to your face. Then you brought on Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Andreessen and Peter Thiel. Then you went to the fucking inauguration and talked about doing your podcast from Mar-a-Lago. You are in the club, dog. It's locked in stone. You are now locked in with those guys. And now you were like, oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know he was going to be locking up grandmas in concentration camps. But, it's not Trump's fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's not Trump. I know he's got, there's good in his heart. I know that's not him. It is him. It is Donald Trump. All of this is Donald Trump. Stop pretending like it's somebody else. Stop making excuses for him. Stop skirting around the fucking issue. You know right from wrong, man. You absolutely do. But most conservatives would rather have their confirmation bias confirmed as opposed to doing introspection. It is easier for you to continue down the rabbit hole than to take 5 minutes to go, wait a minute, am I the baddie here? But you won't do that. Your ego is too fucking large, and you continue to be a hack comedian. And Marc Maron called you out on your bullshit. I doubt he's going to have any response to it because deep down he knows that Marc Maron is right and he is a hack. But anyway, it's nice to see another comedian who has got a bit of gravitas take Joe Rogan and his podcast Brosphere to task. It's pretty glorious. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.